like I was saying, she has a lot of presentations going on today, but I'm really glad they all would stop by and choose to come here. So this is Model of Human Occupation and Martial Arts, looking at how martial arts have informed occupational therapy practice in a case study, and then how the martial arts was able to help bring in some MOHO concepts and kind of shed some light on the therapy that we're doing. To lead off, I want to give my thanks. In martial arts, it's traditional before setting out on any sort of venture to give your appreciation then, rather than waiting until the end. So in the spirit of that, I wanted to express my gratitude to Jenny Popova for all of her help in researching and doing a lot of the filmography and photographing that took place throughout this whole presentation. Give a thanks to Dr. Yolanda Suarez-Balcazar for her gracious help in locating and using some of her research in this presentation. I'd like to give thanks to my parents for the opportunity to study at UIC and to continue to grow in both my professional life and in my martial arts life. And thank you to all my teachers in school and in karate for all of their lessons, their guidance, and their encouragement. And thank you all for coming, giving me the opportunity to show you what I've learned. So this is who I am. I have a BA in writing. I started off wanting to be the next great American novelist, and I wound up in occupational therapy after several years doing all sorts of different things, managing a restaurant, starting a business, and bussing tables. So I went to OT school just last year in my second year at the MSOT program at UIC, but I've also been a martial arts person for a long time, most of my life. Starting for about 20 years since I was 8. I've spent 5 years or so teaching, off and on during sometimes earlier and then for 2 years straight in a professional capacity. And I have 2 years of administration experience in the program I'll tell you a little bit more about. And I want to preface that I'm saying who I am, not who am I, because one of the things that we try to learn in the martial arts is assertive communication. And in order to make life go pretty well, you need to have a couple kinds of people. You need pleasantly passive people that are very polite and willing to let people in, and you need pleasantly assertive people who are willing to take that space and introduce themselves and say hello. So I want to tell you all that I am, I think, a pleasantly assertive person, and that sort of lesson is going to be a running thread throughout this presentation, is how I am able to give some gifts of assertiveness to people who are taught through institutions and through their life experience to always be passive. Sometimes we need to reach out and offer our hand. And we're going to be here today to examine the connection between occupational therapy practice and the martial arts using the model of human occupation. We're going to be looking at the occupational benefits of martial arts for students with developmental, physical, and cognitive disabilities using a specific case study. And we're going to explore values from martial arts that can inform and be integrated into OT practice. By the time we're done today, I'll have given you all a few little exercises, one for the body, one for the mind, and one for the spirit, that hopefully you can take back to your practice. And a lot of this martial arts is for pediatrics, but you'll find a lot of it can be very applicable to adult populations as well. So throughout the course of the presentation, I'll give you a little background information on what's been going on in the program that I run. I'll give you a little overview of the literature I was able to find addressing physical activity. Give you a breakdown of karate values and what we do there. An idea of the model of human occupation. Does everybody know or use the model of human occupation? Some maybe, some no, so that's good. I'll be able to drill into that a little bit and show you how that relates to martial arts practice. We'll look at my big case study, which was at Gigi's Playhouse, really cool place, and then we'll have a little time for discussion. And by the way, if you have questions throughout the presentation, just please raise your hand up and I'll come right to you. So the background on the martial art that I practice, this is Seido Karate. It's founded by Kaicho. Yes?
Random question.
Yeah, sure.
Did you want this to be recording?
Yes.
I don't know that it's started.
How's it not? Uh-oh. Oh no, it's going.
Okay.
We're good. Hey, yeah, no problem. Thanks for looking out. Kaicho Tadashi Nakamura. Kaicho is his title. It means Grand Master. He created Seido Karate in 1976. His original practice was called Kyokushin Kai, which meant ultimate truth, and it was one of the most popular martial arts in Japan. It was partially responsible for the boom of karate practice throughout the 1900s and into the middle and late 1900s. But Kaicho left. He had personal value differences with the founder of Kyokushinkai. So he created Seido, meaning the sincere way, as a way of trying to get back to what he saw as martial arts roots. He believed that there were 3 tenets that he wanted all of his students to observe in their karate: love, respect, and obedience. In the Seido plum blossom, these tenets are symbolized by the 3 encompassing symbols: love at the core, respect around there, and obedience on the outside. And obedience is not in the idea of always doing exactly what people say. Obedience is in the way of sincerely trying to do what the people that you respect do, trying to emulate them, trying to live up to their expectations. Kaicho also had an interesting idea. He thought that karate wasn't for strong people to get stronger and win tournaments. He thought that karate was for everybody, that it was a practice that everyone could benefit from. He also thought that body, mind, and spirit were all equally important in martial arts practice, whereas in a lot of disciplines, really only body mattered, that you could break the most boards, that you had the most flexible legs to kick over your head and win a gold medal. He thought that there was more to it. So, at the end of the day, we'll each have one thing to benefit our body, our mind, and our spirit. And this is the program that I work in, Adapted Seido Karate Program. We run at the Drucker Center, which is a place downtown in Chicago. We abbreviate it to ASK, and it's sort of, it's gonna be all throughout the background of this case. A lot of my photographs come from there, and a lot of my experiences that led to me wanting to create this presentation came from the ASK program. It was founded in 2006 by Sensei Rebecca Angevine. She was one of my teachers, going way, way back. And when she retired a couple of years ago, I volunteered to take over administration of the program. She graciously accepted and let me step in and try my hand in continuing to grow this program. It's in association with the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, the Caring for Kids program. Everyone here knows about Shirley Ryan, yeah?
How can you not?
Yeah, right. And they meet every Sunday afternoon. It's once a week, for about 5 weeks at a time, 6 times per year. So we get to offer a karate class and work with a whole different diversity of children. However, all the students have to have a physical disability. Some students also have cognitive and mental disabilities, but the most common diagnosis we see is cerebral palsy. And we have hemiparesis, we have paraparesis, and we have tetra as well. Other cases that we've dealt with, Larabita Children's Hospital, I did a one-off program for their outpatient program called Corabita. Also did a little work at Bonaventure House, a transitional living place for people who are homeless with HIV. And also there are mental illnesses involved there. Substance abuse disorders are fairly common. At my home school, Thousand Waves Martial Arts Self-Defense Center, which is where I've studied and where I've been employed, we do have a small population of people with developmental disabilities. We see a little bit of autistic spectrum disorders, and we see quite a lot of ADHD. And Gigi's Playhouse. So this is where most of the work went into this presentation and where the bulk of the slides are going to be coming toward the end. Every participant in this program has Down syndrome. And in the karate classes that I was teaching, I was working with the teenage population. It was 6 classes over 2 sessions. The major session was 4 classes, and there was a 2-class follow-up a few months later. And I want to show you that MOHO guided the teaching that I did in this martial arts program, and that karate was able to advise some therapeutic ideas and really kind of give a little interesting context. This is what I've been able to find. There's not a lot of research on martial arts specifically, but there's a good amount about how physical activity can benefit people with mental disabilities. Things that we definitely know. Any physical activity is consistently shown to support physical and emotional well-being. It seems like common sense, but there's also some research to back this up. Gia Gazogli, got it right on one, showed improvements in muscle function through hippotherapy and horse riding. Found that people that were doing it had better reaction times and better tone. And it happens in karate, we also have a similar thing. It's called horse riding stance. So we can get that too, right? We also have Pet, Clark, Eldridge, Cardell, Jordan, Chambliss, and Burley in 2013 they found that over a 12-week program, that young adults with obesity were able to show immediate improvements through a structured physical activity place at a recreation center. They had improvements in blood pressure, in their weight, and in their balance. Barr and Shields indicated that their fitness programs improved self-esteem, social interaction, people's quality of life. Barr and Shields also found that there were some positive themes that went through a person's participation in a physical activity program. They noted that positive family roles, that the people and participants involved felt like they were a participating member of their family, that they contributed, that helped them engage in physical activity. Opportunities for social interaction with their peers was a really important support, that they're not just there to exercise and be quiet, they're there to grow and talk to people, make friends. They found that if the programs were structured to be accessible, that they were more effective. And they also found that the child's own determination to be successful mattered quite a lot, that they had to be invested in what they were doing. And that's going to touch into some of the MOHO concepts we've been looking at, that their volition, their desire to be interactive really made a big difference. Anecdotally, we find from surveys at Thousand Waves that the martial arts has improved motor, process, and social skills for a lot of the children that we work with. So we hear people saying, yeah, you know, Timmy's not a real person, but I like Timmy, it's my go-to fake name. He was very impulsive, and he was really having a hard time sitting down in class. And since we started taking him to karate over the last 6 months, he's got better grades, and he's more focused, and he wants to do better in school. That's one of the things that we found most interesting, is that it improves most students' interest in doing better, which Barr and Shields said, child's determination, very important in participation. However, there's a lot of obstacles in physical activity for children with disabilities. Barr and Shields found that accessible community-based programs are not common. It's really hard to find good ones for people with developmental disabilities to go to. They found other barriers as well. The physical and social characteristics of Down syndrome, for example, are not very helpful for physical activity. The low tone, the tendency toward obesity, those are just instant barriers. They also found competing family responsibilities could be a problem. If both parents are working, they have a really hard time getting their children to these programs. Reduced physical and behavioral skills, this is more of a habituation issue, that if the children have not been pushed, if they haven't had these experiences in the past, they're not very likely to participate in the future or in the now. And the lack of accessible programs. Suarez Balcazar, Orozco, Mate, and Garcia found that youth with disabilities experience higher rates of obesity and lower participation in a healthy, active lifestyle. This sounds like a truism, but it's a researched fact. That's a problem. And from O'Neill, Vergela Pinkham, Iadeshi, and Adeshi, we see that an occupational therapist's role in community-based fitness is kind of unexplored territory. It's been done before, it's around, but we don't really do a lot of research on that, and not many OTs are in that field. We see a lot more PTs, we see social workers, but not so much occupational therapists. In my own experience, there's another critical barrier that has to do with that habituation process. It's the attitude of the parents and the children. As far as Balcazar found, many programs that adequately support participants with developmental disabilities. This is a little, I'm going to say, it might sound a little radical, but if anyone's familiar with an IEP program, then we know that we found that children tend to do best in a least restrictive environment. So the IEP program helps support the children in the schools. Whatever their least restrictive environment is going to be, they're going to have a big team behind them, they're going to have their environment modified, they're going to have their assignments modified, and they're going to receive particular coaching so they can succeed within that least restrictive environment. Unfortunately, that has sort of trickled down to a lot of programs where they think, yes, we want to integrate all these children and we want them to be participating in a least restrictive environment. But they lack the resources and the know-how to provide the specific structure that they need to thrive. These physical programs, they don't have an IEP program. They don't have a team of 20 people all backing them up. And they don't have research and coaching to help them. It's a lot of good intentions. So you may have a basketball program for everybody, and a child with Down syndrome wants to participate. And of course, because it's the right thing to do, program directors will say, absolutely, let them join in. And at their current level, without the support, they can't really participate to the capacity that would really benefit them. And the children that are there already feel frustrated because they're kind of needing to come down more. So creating programs that are specifically to support them would be much more beneficial. And maybe we could integrate many different varieties of abilities that way too. But just bringing people in is not going to be the best choice. We need to create structure. So there's also a misconception of limitations by the parents and the children. So there's a good story of mine. It's a kid named, I call him D. And D really liked karate. And he liked moving around. But he had CP, had some issues with his legs, strength and balance, things like that. So one day, I bring him by to 1,000 Waves because he's about to take one of his promotion exams. We're practicing all his moves, he's doing a really good job, and I want to give a break. So I say, hey, we're gonna do a little jump the dragon. The dragon is a big old ball on a long ropey net. You swing it around, and they jump over me. It's a lot of fun. And I noticed that D has some problems coordinating both of his legs and with his strength, so he's having a really hard time jumping over the ball. When he goes one foot, the other foot comes up too slowly. So I wonder to myself, well, what if he could do it with both legs? And that can be a little harder to coordinate, but that way he's going to be able to clear the ball. I start trying it, and his parents say, hey, sorry, D doesn't jump. And I say, well, we don't know yet. So I start giving it a go, and he struggles at first, but eventually he does get over the ball. He falls down afterward, but he clears it, and he's a small guy on a padded floor. So I say, you jumped the ball, terrific job. And the parents are like, wait, but D's never jumped before. But he did jump, it worked. He fell down afterward, but he didn't care, so why should we? He participated, he got over there. Martial arts happens to be very good at saying, any success is a good success, let's push your limits. If you've never jumped before, we're gonna try and jump today, and you're gonna fall down afterward. Who cares? We're just gonna push it. And OT is very good at sort of investigating all the different things, all the factors that are getting in the way of a student's personal, environmental, occupational context and what they can do, and helping them to get in there. So these two seemingly very different programs and principles can actually come together really nicely, and they can help each other. So on that note, that physical activity, I have our first activity having to do with the body, and it's all about different kinds of push-ups. Hopefully this video will play. Cool. Is there any volume? Guess not. That's all right, you can see it. This is the adapted karate program. You see all different kinds of participation, right? They're all doing some kind of push-up. Some of them are on their knees, some of them are all the way up, some of them are pushing into a pad from a chair. That's the kind of engagement we like to see in martial arts. We just want people to be challenged. And it's not like OT, right? We want to meet the client where they are, and we want them to do as much as they can. There's all sorts of different novel hand positions you can use for a push-up that are safe, that are mechanically agreeable, even if they're difficult. This one here, in karate we call that koken, back of the wrist. That's a difficult one, but it can be built up over time, and it works because it uses mostly the energy from the two long bones in the hand, the radius and the ulna. We have the seiken, the two large knuckles. These two knuckles are perfectly positioned in the right hand position to take the entire weight of the body and the arm in a straight line. It's actually a little easier on the wrist than a flat hand push-up. And there's the fingertips, which is always a fun one. It's very scary to see at first. But kids look at something like that, and they are just like, whoa, that is so cool, I want to do that. and then they try it and it's painful and they're like, oh no, I don't think I can do it yet. But we encourage them. We say, well, try it on your knees. Maybe do 2. And then they do, and they say, get success. It's great. So think about integrating little bits of physical activity throughout a session, especially in pediatrics, but a little bit of just more, mindless isn't really the best word, but more physically engaging activity throughout your sessions can be nice for your clients to give them a little break. It's an opportunity for them to have a success, to try something new, and to be able to step back a little bit. Now I know it's really early in the morning, some of us are still eating, and we're dressed really nicely. But if you want to give this a shot, I thought we could all try 5 push-ups together. If you want to do it, let's give it a shot. I'm doing it too. And if you just sort of like, no way, unbelievably not, because I'm wearing far too nice of stuff and I'm too tired, that's okay. You can watch. Yeah, cool. All right, so the caveat here is that you're gonna have to use a different hand position than what you're used to. If you've always been a flat hands person, you're gonna try one of these 3 things: the back of the wrist, the seiken, the 2 large knuckles, or the fingertips. If you're doing the seiken, make sure that your inner arm is toward your body and that you're only using the 2 large knuckles. Careful of your rings, those might be a little painful.
You're right. That's fine.
And if you feel like being all the way up is too scary, do it on your knees. That's totally fine. All right, everybody up. We're gonna do 5. Okay, 1. Keep your elbows in line. 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's hard.
Tricky, right? But it's different, and it's kind of fun. And now that we've done that, hey, we're like in a different place,
Rejuvenated.
right? Yeah, got our blood moving. And maybe we're ready for more slides, huh?